welcome to Deck Analysis and Testing, where we playtest both a free-to-play and expensive version of a deck. Today we have a look at none other than Blue Eyes for like the millionth time. This time, Blue Eyes is not surprisingly really good in the meta again because of a new skill that the deck has gotten, as well as some new cards from the newest update. We won't talk about what the deck does for too long because it's Blue Eyes. You all know what Blue Eyes does. But now it's a lot more similar to Blue Eyes in the TCG because we have a lot of modern support now. We have True Light, we are setting Majesty to pop cards, we are ending on Spheres and Spirit Dragon. Even though we don't have Maiden to set True Light, we have the skill that pretty much does what Maiden will do, and also gives you the consistency that something like Wishes would do. So those aren't really that big of an issue. So even without some of the new stuff that we got this year in the TCG, it's still the end board is still pretty similar, and the deck functions pretty much in the same way, but probably better because of the bonus effects that the skill gives you as well. So let's hop right into it and just look at the skill first. So the skill has two effects. The first one pretty much adds anything that you're missing from your deck to your hand by revealing a Blue Eyes monster. It adds not only a Blue Eyes White Dragon, but also any card that mentions it, including monsters or spell traps. So you can use that to add a Kyberman, which is your starter, or you can add something like an alternative White Dragon to break boards when going second, or you can just even add a trap if you're going first and already have everything in your hand. The second effect of your skill allows you to, if you control a Blue Eyes monster, or if your opponent only controls a monster and you don't, you can just set a spell trap that mentions Blue Eyes White Dragon from your deck or hand. If you just happen to draw it, you can also set from your hand, and that card can be activated the same turn that it's set. And this effect is what makes this deck so very broken, is because what you're allowed to do is when your turn begins, when you go second, you just set Majesty, you search a bunch of Blue Eyes with something like a Melody. You can search like 2 or even 3 copies of Blue Eyes and just have them in your hand. You don't even need to summon them. And then the first thing you do is you activate the trap, you reveal all the Blue Eyes in your hand, and then you just blow up the entire board without even committing to anything on the field. It's super hard to stop because it's a trap. You just get to use it. The only way that your opponent is stopping this is if they negate it. They can't like get rid of it with an MST or Cosmic because you can just chain it. Because you can activate this card immediately. They can't really get rid of the Blue Eyes because they are all in your hand. And this card is not targeting. This card is so broken. It's even more broken when you get to just use it going second immediately when you set it with your skill. So that is why that's like the reason why this deck is even considered like one of the best decks in the meta right now. One of the biggest reasons is because of its ability to go second with your skill setting the trap to blow up stuff before you even commit to anything. And the other reason is that when you go first, the board is pretty good as well. You end on Spheres, a copy of Spirit Dragon, Majesty, True Light, and sometimes if you draw well enough, maybe a Destined Rivals or Ultimate Fusion is something you can choose to set as well. But yeah, that's a pretty good end board, and also you can change your end board depending on what your opponent is playing. In the expensive version, we are playing Dengirsu, which is something that you can make if you see your opponent is playing Despia, so that you can protect your board against the first Dark Lord, and then the deck kind of doesn't do anything if they can't clear your things with the Dark Lord, and they will need to draw the Eclipse or Droplet to out your board otherwise. Yeah, so let's have a look at the cards actually. I won't go into too much detail into each and every card because it's just Blue Eyes. I'm sure you already know what most of these cards do. If you don't, most of them are pretty simplistic because it's just Blue Eyes. But go over I will go over them quickly. Alternative White Dragon can summon itself by revealing Blue Eyes. Importantly, this does not activate an effect. You just summon this card immediately. There is no effect activation, so that your opponent cannot really like negate it. You just reveal and then it just shows up on your field. And then also once per turn, softer once per turn by the way, pop a monster on the field, and this card cannot attack the turn you use this effect. Cyberman the Legend is one of the new cards. When you normal special summon this card, you can reveal 3 Blue Eyes from your hand, deck, or graveyard. It's kind of like a check if you're playing 3 Blue Eyes, which you always should in Duel Links anyway. And you just summon 1 Blue Eyes from your deck after you resolve this effect, so that you can immediately synchro summon into your copy of Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. Also, if you summon a Blue Eyes, you just add a Blue Eyes monster from your deck by banishing this card from your graveyard. So when you use your True Light, bring back one of your vanilla Blue Eyes, you can add an alternative, and then summon the alternative, and then you can just link them for a Spheres or make a rank 8. Jet Dragon is a really good card. This card is pretty much safety net. Whenever your opponent tries to destroy your stuff, you can just summon this card for free every turn, pretty much. This is a very annoying card to get rid of because it summons itself so often, and also protects all of your other cards from being destroyed by card effects, including your True Light, which when it's destroyed, it blows up your entire field, so having a protection is pretty nice. Also, if it battles, you can target a card your opponent controls and bounce it back to the hand at the start of the damage step, so it's also kind of a form of removal. Finally, for the monsters, 3 Blue Eyes. Blue Eyes is really good, especially when you can reveal them with Majesty and pop a whole bunch of cards when you go second. For the spells, playing 1 Rota, just because we are only playing 1 Cyberman in this free-to-play version. It's limited to 1, but we don't play any limited 1 cards anyway, so it's kind of fine. Another limit 1 card you can consider is the Counter Trap Champion's Vigilance, which is a counter trap that negates anything, pretty much. Negates not only effects, but also summons if you control a high-level normal monster. That's also something that you can consider, but that card is pretty much only good going first, so you might want to play other things over it if you want to strengthen your deck's ability to go second. 1 copy of Ultimate Fusion, really searchable in this deck to be able to make your fusions. 3 Melody of Awakening Dragon. This card is really busted, especially when you can search multiple Blue Eyes to your hand when you go second in order to reveal with your trap. 3 copies of Bingo Machine Go, and part of the reason why we were playing like a lot of Blue Eyes cards is because your skill just needs you to play a lot of Blue Eyes cards, because it says you need to contain a total of 15 or more Blue Eyes cards, or cards that mention Blue Eyes. So Bingo Machine counts as one of them. And also that's the reason why we will be playing the Bingo Machine in the expensive version, even though we have better search spells like the Melody of Awakening Dragon. With 1 copy of Destined Rivals as like the second trap that you can search, or with your skill or True Light, if you already have the Majesty, because this card is once per turn. So if you already have it, you can search this card instead, which is kind of a negate. It's a negate for the entire field when you control a Blue Eyes. True Light is a really good card, especially when you can activate it immediately. So usually you set this with your skill when you go first. So you do your combo, you summon your Spirit Dragon, which is a Blue Eyes monster, so that you can use your skill, set this card from your deck, ideally if you don't draw it, and then you can immediately flip this card open, and then you can either set a spell trap from your deck, or you can special summon a Blue Eyes and then trigger the effect of Cyberman, searching in an alternative White Dragon, and then you can special summon this card from your hand, and then you can make a rank 8. Finally, we talked about this already, Majesty of the White Dragons is a really strong removal. It does not target, it reveals up to 3 Blue Eyes from your hand, field, or graveyard, and then just pops in the same amount of cards. And the thing about that is that alternative white dragon counts as a blue eyes if it's on your field or graveyard, so keep that in mind. For the extra deck, we're playing a bunch of fusions, Dragon Master Knight, Neo Blue Eyes Twin Burst, Blue Eyes Tyrant. We won't be making these fusions very often, but because it's the free-to-play version, there's not a whole lot of other things that we could be playing, so we're just playing these fusions. One copy of Spirit Dragon, this is our main endboard piece. It negates a graveyard effect once per turn. Also, it can tag out as a quick effect, tributing itself to bring out a light dragon synchro monster from your extra deck in defense position. So the two that we're playing are Azure Eyes, that just brings out more blue eyes every turn and gives your guys protection, and a copy of Lightstorm Dragon, which is part of the new box. This card, when special summon, can pop back row, which is pretty nice. Also can recycle stuff when it's destroyed by any means. In the expensive version, we're also playing more light dragons, but we'll get to that later. This deck can also make rank 8s pretty easily, as I talked about, using the True Light to bring back a Blue Eyes, and then the alternative White Dragon to special summon itself. So one of the best rank 8s we can play is Felgrand, which is basically a monster negate that also happens to be able to make one of your guys immune to anything. So in certain situations, you might want to use this on your own monsters instead, but usually it's just a monster negate. Finally, one copy of Spheres, and to synergize with the Spheres, you can choose to play other dragon monsters in your deck. It's something like a Grand Tusk Dragon, which when special summoned can destroy 2 cards on the field, but that's a brick, and you don't have to play it. So, and also if you don't play that, the dragon that you are summoning usually is going to be the Jet Dragon, so that you give your stuff protection, and also it puts this card into rotation if you don't already have access to this card. But the main usage of this card is just to use it as a non-targeting bounce, which is already good enough even if you don't really summon anything useful from a deck using the Graveyard effect. So this is the expensive version that I have been building, and well, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's just better cards in a larger ratio, so like more Kybermans, and also free imperms. I don't actually think that imperm is this good in this deck. So I've been playtesting, imperm and other stuff in like expensive versions in decks, and in Blue Eye specifically. After playing some games with Imperm in the deck, I actually don't think it's that good. Like, it might even be better to just play Veiler, just because if you go first, your back row is pretty much always clogged with one True Light and one Majesty, and oftentimes the third back row will be something like a Destined Rivals or a copy of Ultimate Fusion. So sometimes you just don't even have enough space in your back row to actually set your imperm if you already have it in your hand. And if you go second, imperm is also not very useful because usually you just get to pop everything on their field with your Majesty anyway, so it really doesn't give too much of a value having like a negate, because like most of the time you just already get to blow up their board anyway going second, so the impermanent gate going second doesn't come up too much. So I am considering replacing this with something else, so don't sweat too much if you don't have an imperm. It's probably not optimal either. But yeah, other than that, I would also probably play more copies of Awakening Dragon because this card is so busted. You can add so many blue eyes white dragons to your hand so that you can reveal them to pop cards with Majesty. But other than that, yeah, that is what I have been playing in my playtesting of this deck. And other than that, yeah, that's pretty much what I'll be playing. And also, a lot of people are playing more than 20. I like to play exactly 20 in most of my decks if I could, just because I like playing smaller decks that are more consistent, even if that means that we are missing out on some of the better cards that we could be playing that would, make the deck bigger, but maybe like raise the ceiling of the end board, for example. Maybe like if you're playing a bigger deck, you can play more bricks, like Grand Tusk Dragon can be in your deck, so that if you tag out with spheres, you get 2 more pops. But that's another brick that you're playing, which is justified if you play a larger deck, so that if you play a larger deck, you can play more bricks and not have to worry about drawing them too much because your deck is just bigger. But you have the drawback of your deck is just bigger, so that if there is a specific card in your deck that you want to draw more often, you just don't draw them as often if you play a smaller deck instead. So that's like kind of the deck building philosophy that I just use for like every deck that I build pretty much, not only in Duel Links but in Master Duel and the TCG as well. I prefer to stick to the minimum deck limit as much as I could, even in decks where you might want to play more than 40 or more than 20 in the case of Duel Links. But that's just my personal preference. But if you prefer like a larger deck size and play a little bit more bricks, but kind of raise the ceiling of your deck and also like kind of reduce the amount of times we draw your must play bricks like True Light, because if you play a 30 card deck, you have a lower chance of opening with something like a True Light that you would prefer to be in your deck. That's your choice. You can do that, and I think a lot of people would choose to do that more than they don't. So that's something that you can consider. Otherwise, yeah, that's what I've been playing. The extra deck is just less fusions because to be honest, you don't make that many fusions. You only play 1 fusion spell anyway. The synchros, we're playing the same synchros, but we're also playing a copy of Moonlight Dragon, which you can tag out with Spirit Dragon at a quick effect speed to be able to bounce a special summoned monster back to the hand as well. A really good form of bonus interruption. And also, Dengisu is pretty important, not only as a form of removal that doesn't target, but also as protection if you face against specifically Despia, because that deck, and also Blue Eyes, also like the Blue Eyes Mirror Match, this card is really good to protect against the board wipes that both of those decks rely on. So Despia relies on the first Dark Lord to break boards, and the Blue Eyes Mirror Match, they also rely on the Majesty to break boards. So if you have a Dengusu on your field, that means your opponent must draw the out. They must have an Eclipse or a Droplet or an Imperm in their hand to be able to negate the Dengusu before they fire their in-archetype way to clear the board. That's pretty much it. Let's have a look at some replays. Okay, first game, we're going first. Let's see what this deck is able to do. So, as I said in the deck profile, this deck is pretty good going second as well, but going first, it sets up a pretty good board as well. So, this deck is really good, obviously, but yeah, it doesn't really matter too much if you go first or second. The deck has plays for both. So, we unfortunately drew the True Light, but that should not be too big of a deal. We can still set from hand with our skill. So here's the mainline combo. Normal summon Cyberman, summon a Blue Eyes from deck, make a Synchro, activate True Light, bring back a Blue Eyes from graveyard, banish the Cyberman, grab a copy of Alternative, and then special summon the Alternative, and then we make the link, and then we use our skill, and we're gonna search a trap that we're missing, and then we can set it, and then end our turn. So that gives us quite a bit of interruptions, including a bounce from spheres, graveyard negate with Spirit Dragon. You can tag out into a Moonlight in the expensive version to bounce another card, and also a really powerful pop effect with Majesty. So we can reveal 1 Blue Eyes from hand and 2 Blue Eyes from grave, including the 1 alternative that counts as Blue Eyes, and then pop 3 cards. We're going to destroy everything our opponent has, and Jet Dragon can summon even if your opponent stuff gets destroyed. So we can summon it, and then our opponent just cannot play through that, so they're just gonna scoop. Okay, second game, we were playing against the Mirror Match. This time we were going second, and we will be able to show what this deck can do if you happen to lose the coin flip. And in our hand, there's not a lot of Blue Eyes cards, not a lot of Blue Eyes monsters, but that should still be fine because we have the bingo machine, which will be able to get us the Blue Eyes that we need. So our opponent will be doing the titular combo, and well, to be honest, they should probably be making a copy of Dinggyusu, as I talked about in the deck profile, because it protects against board wipe. But they are not doing that. They just made the Spirit Dragon and passed. So they are going to pay for that. We're gonna first reveal 3 Blue Eyes, grab one of them, activate the skill revealing the Blue Eyes, let's grab an alternative, and then we're gonna set up our graveyard as well as a bonus. We're gonna set a trap, and then summon the alternative White Dragon. We're gonna force out the Spirit Dragon, and then he's gonna tag out into an Azure Eyes. Doesn't really matter what he summons because we can now use a trap, revealing the one in our hand and the one on our field, popping both of our opponent's back row, and then now he's out of interruptions. So we can just use our Rota to grab ourselves the Kyberman, no more summon the Kyberman, summon a Blue Eyes from deck, and then just end my turn because I can't really beat over the Azure Eyes. It's protected from targeting and destruction effects, so we can just set free and pass. It's fine. Our opponent will try to attack, we can just blow up their board again, and then he can't play through that, so he's just gonna scoop. Okay, game 3, usually this is where I use the expensive version, which I am using the expensive version, but you probably won't be able to tell because, yeah, because like 90% of the deck is the same as the free-to-play version, so even if I were even if I were to be using the free-to-play version, the cards are pretty much exactly the same. Like the plays I am about to do in this replay are completely legal in the free-to-play version as well. So anyway, our opponent is playing Exo Sister. They're gonna make a copy of Magnifica and set free pass, which is pretty strong. But well, there's a lot of Blue Eyes that we have in our hand, so that is what we're going to do. We're gonna add even more Blue Eyes to our hand. We won't even be adding a copy of Kyberman because we don't even actually need to Synchro Summon. We can just add a whole bunch of Blue Eyes to our hand so that we can activate the Majesty and then just destroy absolutely everything our opponent has. Actually, instead of adding the alternative White Dragon, I could have just not added the alternative and then just add a Kyberman, but it doesn't matter too much. We can reveal the 3 Blue Eyes in our hand and then just destroy absolutely everything our opponent has. And the thing about Exo Sister is that their follow-up isn't that good, so that we can just set 2 and pass. It doesn't really matter too much, even if we can't actually summon anything during our previous turn. We can just set a copy of Majesty so that when they try to extend, at exactly this point in their combo, we can blow up all 3 of their monsters. And then end phase, we'll just flip out our True Light and then just start summoning our Blue Eyes. So another benefit of actually knowing their combo is that you know exactly when to activate your trap, right? So I've played Exo Sister before. I know that like their combo revolves around making 2 rank 4s. So we can save the Majesty at exactly this point where they have 1 rank 4 and 2 level 4s. And then we can also technically wait until they make the 2nd rank 4, but it doesn't really matter, we can still destroy everything. So we can wait until exactly this point, so they waste their normal summon, they waste their Xyz summon, they use up all of their extension, and then we fire the Majesty, we pop everything so that he has absolutely no chance of recovering. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If you're still watching at this point, expect a Blue Eyes counter video soon. I'll probably will be making one of those because this deck is really ridiculous and also probably will be one of the most popular decks in Ranked for the foreseeable future, and also one of the strongest decks in the meta. So I expect a video on how to counter it. But for now, thanks for watching. Goodbye.